Dev, what are all the things you've done just you? And I'm assuming it's everything, but I was just curious if you could just list them out and how you did it, because that's a huge feat, dude.
I mean, yeah, I'm wearing a lot of different hats. Like, I do the programming, I do the art, I make all of the sound effects, I compose the entire soundtrack. Actually, the soundtrack is something I'm kind of proud of. It's 25 tracks, almost an hour of music.
Whoa.
I like it.
Wait, you did the music? That's crazy.
Yeah.
What are you using to do the music?
Cubase.
Okay.
But you make music as well sometimes, right? I've heard some of your
I
tracks.
do, and
pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and thank you. I do my own music too. I do it in Logic Pro on Apple. I'm not using Apple products right now because I'm not really writing music, but I used to write a lot of music. And I didn't usually meet a lot of developers who would create their own music. And you're doing the art as well, right? Okay.
And the marketing and like the YouTube videos at the same
time. What's the thing that is the hardest thing for you to figure out? Like, of all the hats, which one's the hardest thing for you to figure out?
I feel like the one where I'm handicapped the most is the art, the visuals of the game.
Really? They look so pretty.
But they're also so freaking important for marketing. You're so incredibly handicapped if your graphics don't look right. And I feel like for Will You Snail, yeah, I got to a decent level, but it's still very much program art and still, I think, worse than what I could have done with a dedicated artist.
Okay.
But yeah, I tried to make the best of it, but it took me way longer than it should have, and it could look even better, I think.
What are you using for the art? What's your process?
For art, I very much have a trial and error like approach, because my approach to art is kind of, if you find it difficult to create something beautiful, then just create a bunch of different things and decide which one is you like the best. Because like deciding which one is the most beautiful is way easier than creating something beautiful. So I just throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and then see what I like best.
Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying you sort of guess and check styles?
It's a very slow process.
So are you saying you like guess and check different styles and pick the one that works best for you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I remember in the beginning I even went as far as to completely write a script that randomizes the colors of the game, and then I would just zap through random color schemes and I wrote down what I liked.
Yeah. So there wasn't really a rhyme or reason with your art style.
I don't know. It just kind of evolved. It's like, don't question me about art stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's where I have to question you. We need to do this the other way around. How do you approach making art for your games?
There's a science, at least for me, when it comes to color. Color is one of those things where if you actually follow the science behind it, you actually look like a genius. And I'm not saying I look like a genius, but I'm saying that you can get closer. And I'm getting closer and closer to that point where I can pick a color scheme and immediately it looks good. It didn't used to be that way, because I've been doing this for like 15 years, just animation and game dev and illustration. And what I've learned is the best way to have a beautiful color scheme that works with your marketing, that's the important part, because you need a trailer and you need people to buy your game. And when you have a good color scheme, you can make anything look pretty. So what I do is I actually use, there's color wheels that show different color schemes. So one of them is called the triadic color scheme. And so an example of it would be like orange and its complementary color, which would be purple. And then you would throw in, let's see here, like a yellowish green. And I'm not sure if people are gonna rip me apart in the comments, but it makes a triad. It's if there's a big color wheel, you're picking the three, right? Or you can just do complementary colors and I always choose opposites. I always do that. So if your snail was yellow, you would choose like a blue, right? Or like a tealish blue for like all the background elements. So, and also something to keep in mind with color, and then I'll shut up, is, and your colors look great in Will You Snail, by the way. But one of the things that I keep in mind with color is, instead of a 50-50 split of two different colors, let's say you choose two colors, what you do is you wash, sort of a monochromatic color, like a ton of tealish blue, and then your character, the snail, is a vibrant pop of like red or orange. And then you even add a little bit of a glow to it with a post-processing effect. And you could do this with just squares. So I'm a huge fan of making very simplistic shapes and then making sure the color has a science to it. And you can just type in color wheels on Google, and you can just look at all the different color schemes and just pick one, and there's science to that. It just works with the human brain. But your game looks great.
I agree that color wheels and predefined color schemes make things a lot easier, but I'm afraid that you still need a little bit of experience to execute even with those colors correctly, because you kind of need a feel for how much of each color, and it's not as easy as just slapping those 5 or 3 colors on there and it automatically looks good. It looks better than when you just pick colors completely at random, but there's a little more to it, I feel like.
So what about marketing, dude? So artwork, it's your thorn in your side, right? And I don't see, if that's the struggle for you, then dude, you're all set, because your art looks great. But what about marketing? Like I know you mentioned you got a publisher for console, but you're doing marketing all yourself, right?
Not entirely anymore. Okay. Like as I was approaching launch, I felt that I got very overwhelmed by all of the things that are still to do. Like there's so many tiny bug fixes and improvements I still want to make to the game. Yeah. And then there's the marketing on top of that. So I actually hired a community management / marketing company to help me out a little bit. And so far they've been great, but I can't really say too much about that because we've only been working together for like 1 week.
Oh wow!
Brought them on a little too late, so
dude, that's
a little tight before launch. But
so what about solo developers out there who can't afford to do that? Are they screwed?
No, of course not. Like for Islanders, we didn't have that. For Islanders, we went such a minimalist approach with marketing, and the reason why it worked for Islanders is that it was such an appealing game. Like we posted one trailer on Twitter and it just kind of went auto-viral. Yeah. We didn't have to do anything. Then press started reaching out and the game sold itself because it just looked nice. Okay. For Will You Snail, I'm having a harder time because, you know, if you compare graphics from Islanders to Will You Snail, not quite the same level. Like the appeal is not quite on the same level, and that makes such a huge difference. It's really, for graphics and for visual appeal, it's exponential return. Like it multiplies all of your marketing efforts. Like if you have a more appealing game, a more nice looking game that people want to play, you need to put half the time into marketing and still get the same results. Yeah.